Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I hope you enjoy, so let's get started.
This wonderful GE street light was a very generous donation to the channel from another local lighting collector, as I'm sure you may have already seen on the main channel. But, if I remember correctly, they were interested in getting it to be as European as possible, and in the desire to do that, tried to find some type of ballast and bulb combination that would give it a tubular bulb that you would find in European countries. Now, the reason I only have it facing down like this, as if it were to be installed, is because if you were to flip it around, the ballast inside is kind of not really well secured to anything, so it'd kind of tumble around, and this is the best way to do it. Now, the other thing is that this opens from the top. So instead of swinging down like a traditional American street light, this one opens from the top. I believe that's mostly because the mounting can be either from the side or bottom. Of course, you can, I believe, turn that mount, so you can choose either direction. So, in an effort to try to make it more European, as the original owner wished for it to be, I am going to convert this to 50 watt high pressure sodium, as I do have some 50 watt high pressure sodium tubular bulbs that I picked up quite a while ago, and I think those will look great in this fixture, making it a lot more European feeling. So, let's go ahead and open it up here. So, we'll have to open this latch, and the hard part is there's a plug underneath here that disconnects the power, and it's quite hard to open. Okay, with that plug undone, we can swing this up, and you can see the plug here that would disconnect main power to the fixture. Now, as we swing it open, you'll see there's an arm here to help you keep it open while you're working on the fixture from up high. Now, there'll be a more in-depth video of this fixture on the main channel to come, but for right now, as I mentioned, we're going to be converting this to 50 watt high pressure sodium. I believe originally it was 150 watt high pressure sodium, so it's going to be still within that realm. But what is currently inside of here, I believe, is a 250 watt metal halide ballast and a 250 watt metal halide somewhat tubular bulb. Let's see here. So as you see, you undo the clips and you can pull out the bulb here. Now, see how well we can do that. And you can see it's a tubular version. It's not necessarily a, ED28 style shape. So, let's see. I'm not sure how to approach this next. So we'll just go from there, I guess. Here's the bulb. Very cool shape. It has a nice older etch on it here. What does that say? M250U ET18 shape. Very cool. I think I've found a 400 watt version of a bulb like this, kind of in a high pressure sodium enclosure, but not one of this small wattage, so that's pretty cool. Of course, the 50 watt bulbs that I have are medium base, so we'll be putting an adapter in here to make that happen, but at least we will have the true tubular bulb. So that's the bulb out of the housing there. You can see the wires coming up and attaching here. Well, that one's just kind of hung on there, but wires going into the socket, and we'll have to sort out whatever's going on here, and of course find a mounting solution for our new ballast. Here's the ballast that is inside the fixture. Very nice ballast here. Of course, being a regular probe start metal halide, it can also do mercury vapor bulbs. There's a capacitor. Definitely will get used in another project. I was just taking apart the light and giving it a light cleaning, and was interested in how this mechanism works. So it looks like this piece can come out and go in a couple different orientations, two exactly, depending on how you want to mount it. Now, of course, it can be mounted on an arm, which is probably what we'll end up doing. It'd be really cool if I could post top mount it, but I don't really have a spot to do that, so we'll just mount it the way it was. But this can be slid in a couple of different ways. So let me turn the fixture here. And one of them is kind of like this. And then it'll slide up in there. And it kind of gets held into place. You can kind of see... oh, sorry, it's backwards. Okay, now it's right. Kind of gets held into place, and you see notches there. It kind of slides underneath there, but I'm not going to get it underneath there at the moment. I believe the other way is, let's try to get it out of here again. I want to say the other way is like this, and it sits in here. Now, I could be 1,000,000% wrong, but looking at the orientation of the cut here at an angle, and these bolts being at an angle, I want to say that kind of makes sense. There may have been another piece that was made to do this that is not this one, and I think it just pushes against the side here. Now, like I said, I could be totally wrong, and this might be the whole wrong piece, but it looks like you just change it to your orientation. It's just a very interesting design, and we obviously have some different steps here to put it at different angles, but if you notice, if we install it right on an arm, there's not really anything there. It just kind of clamps it against these top pieces. There's not really any leveling or anything going on, you know, at least with these steps. Just a really unique design here. I just realized that this thing's actually integrated for both directions as far as I can tell. As you can see, there's a V and an H. So let me turn the camera so it makes more sense for you. But the V must be for vertical mount and the H must be for horizontal mount. Try to get some more light in there. Interesting. Here's a better look at that device. I took it out to install this bottom thing better. It seems like it has to sit underneath it, so well, that's what we'll do. Okay, so I've been sitting here struggling to get this thing back together in some type of actual orientation. And I did figure out how this thing is supposed to sit. It sits perfectly like that, as you can see. So, I come along and I try to put this thing back in its exact same position. You know, bringing it along in here and setting it down. Well, as you can see, it does not sit flush. There is a little bump out there that matches this. So I was looking at it closer and I'm like, what in the world? How in the world do you get that to fit? I mean, that adds a gap, or I mean a lip. It adds space, so you can't get it down there. And I was looking at this and I'm like, well, those are threaded, but why are they threaded? What is the point of that? And then I was looking here and I'm like, well, we do have some type of remnants of a screw. If you come along and get this thing in here, well, I had it in there a minute ago. Watch what happens. It fits right there. Literally. It is like cut out to be moved into this position. So, well, I'll find a screw and I guess that's where it's going. I guess that's the right orientation for it. Yeah, interesting. So you move two things. Not only do you move that for, post top mount, you also move that. So both of those things get moved depending on the orientation. I thought maybe this stayed here and you just use the shelves different ways, but no, this goes in here. Interesting. Learning something new. So there it is, all done up for actual arm mount. Interesting. Taking it apart even more just to give it a clean, you know. And very interesting glass here. You'll never find another piece like that. So we're going to get a 50-watt high-pressure sodium ballast in here, one of our wonderful ballasts from the recently closed Sears in Tukwila, Washington. So this is very cool. A ballast from Sears. And we're going to find a way to mount it in here. But it's very small. So shouldn't be too difficult. Just have to find a home for everything. It's a new day, and we're going to mount the ballast here. I don't remember where we left off yesterday, but the reason I stopped is I had to get some type of something to hold it down. And this galvanized hanger strap here, or plumber's tape, whatever you want to call it, is perfect for that. I thought I had some here on hand, but I'm thinking of the stuff at work. So, went and picked some of this up, and this will be perfect. We just need to bring it from one side to the other, and that'll hold it in place, and then we can curl some around and make a little holder for the igniter here. So this stuff is incredibly handy to have around. There we go. That's not going anywhere, so that worked out great. Now we just need to find a home for our little igniter here. Now the igniter has a home as well, and I guess we'll just reassemble. I've had this lamp in the corner of the basement here for quite some time, and obviously having these neon flicker flames on 24/7, 365 for probably 4.5 years now or so, they have, well, they're not as excited anymore, as you can see. They do still glow and function, but they're not as excited anymore. So I ended up picking up some of these things here. These little neon ones that I saw at Home Depot the other day. I did a video of them. Let's see what they look like inside of this lamp, though. I mean, it's definitely more flickery, I guess. They're definitely brighter than the neon flicker flames were. I do have the back panel off right now, so I mean, it does make them look pretty bright. If I take that and just hold it up there, or just set it there, you can see what it looks like. I don't know what to think about it. I almost feel it's too bright now. You know, this thing's on 24/7 all the time, and while it definitely has more motion, I feel in the middle of night it'd probably be a little bit too bright. When you sit far enough away, it literally just looks like a blinking light. It's literally just pulsing, that's it. It was worth a try, but I don't think anything will ever replace the beautiful glow of these neons. That just looks so much better to me. My 2012 Mac Pro here is one of my most favorite Intel Macs, mostly because it is so modular. You can add hard drives, replace disk drives, add PCI cards. In fact, I've added USB-C and USB 3 to this thing with a PCI card in the back. I've added all kinds of hard drives, and I got things stored on here, and it's still a very capable computer. This one is factory with the 2.4 gigahertz 12-core dual processors, and it has 16 gigs of RAM, so that was a factory upgrade. It usually would have came with 12, so somebody configured it as that. Picked it up a couple years ago on eBay. It definitely came from a station or somewhere because it has Station 7 on it, so they must have had multiples of these things. And it's been a very reliable computer. But the sad part is that I can only get it up to macOS Mojave. I do have an upgraded GPU inside of the machine, and that allowed me to get it from High Sierra, High Sierra, up to Mojave, because it enabled metal support in the graphics area. And that's great, but Chrome and other web browsers don't support 10.14 Mojave anymore. And some websites require a more modern web browser to even load things correctly. It's really annoying, to be honest, because it's still a very capable computer. But we're going to solve that today by leaving this machine here. It's not going to go anywhere. But we're going to start using the Mac Mini with the M1. And of course we have the M4 Pro over here. I used the M1 for a while at work, and now I have the M2 Pro that used to be here at work, and I have the M1. It's free to use for something else now. So we're going to hook it up to the wonderful LED cinema display. This is the 2010 model that was only out for a little while, and then they came out with the Thunderbolt display. So this one uses a mini display port connector, not a Thunderbolt connector. So I ended up picking up an adapter here. And this adapter, if I can, well, get it out here, is a StarTech adapter. It goes from mini display to USB-C. Now, I originally was looking into some type of HDMI to mini display port, but all those require a USB as well for additional power. So why do that when you can just go USB-C to mini display in one cable? And obviously this is going to be a standard for many years to come, hopefully. So it can be reused for many other machines in the future if, you know, the Macs ever get rid of the HDMI port on the back. Now, I believe this one does still have that. Yes, there it is. And this one does too. Now, the M1 and the M2 Pro Mac Mini still have regular USB ports on the back, Type A. The M4 version here and M4 Pro, they don't have the regular USB ports. They just have USB-C. Now, they do have the two on the front and the headphone jack. That is awesome. Here you just have two on the back and two regular USBs. The M2 Pro had 4 USB-C and 2 regular USB. So that's a awesome machine because it has all those ports on it. So that's a really cool one to have. But again, we have a hard drive here for doing different things on this machine that I do, editing photos and whatnot. And this machine is way more capable, believe it or not. The base model M1 with 8 gigs of RAM, it's base as can be, but it, you know, blows this thing out of the water. This thing is amazing in its own way, but this is just so much more modern. It's got the up-to-date operating system on it. It's got everything that you'd expect from a modern computer. And when I have friends over and stuff, and they want to use both the machines at once, at least one of them isn't, you know, held back by older web browsers and stuff. I mean, that's what everybody's doing nowadays. Everybody's on a web browser of some kind. So I'm going to go ahead, and I already moved over the information that I want from this to this hard drive so we can set this up. And got to have the 3DS power saves. My friends use that quite a bit. And we got our adapter here, so I guess we'll just get this up and going. Well, after much fiddling around, because I wanted to clear off all the work stuff, everything I've previously done on the machine, so I ended up just factory resetting it. That solved my problem, and we're up and running. We just got a generic account on it, all set up for whoever to use, and we're all good there. So finally, the Mac Mini is, well, that project's done. Anyway, it plays well with the old Cinema LED display. It has a little bit of flickering problems when it's trying to turn back on. I don't know if it's just a communication thing or the display itself, because I never noticed any issues with the old Mac Pro. So, I don't know, maybe it's that adapter. Otherwise, once it's on, it's perfectly fine. There's no flicker, any problems at all. Not sure. Picked this guy up at Target yesterday. Of course, needed to add some more Pokemon figures to the existing ones up here. And, well, that guy's always falling off, Blaziken that is, because this speaker makes him move. But anyway, we'll add this guy to our shelf up here. Annoying, but go to open the application that the guys use the most when they're in town, a game editor thing, and it's not even supported on Apple Silicon. Wonderful! So we just wasted a bunch of time setting that thing up. We'll let it be set up anyway. I mean, all you have to do is plug the monitor into the other computer here, and you're good to go. I mean, you could still visit some websites on there, but some of them, you know, you have to have an up-to-date browser. It doesn't matter. I guess none of that matters, because that's the application they use the most. That's what they care about. So I guess we'll just hook this back up to that, and if you need something modern, we'll just plug the monitor into the Mac Mini. But anyway, it was a fun little project. Thankfully, all you had to do was just plug the monitor back in, and even the keyboard and mouse found their home right away, even though they were linked up to the new machine. I guess it just remembers everything. Good old Mac Pro. And now he's got a new home with all the other knickknacks. Picked this up yesterday at the thrift store. Of course, we have to have some type of older fan. It's not exactly antique. It's not a GE or Westinghouse or something like that, so it's not super desirable, but I do love these older all-metal fans. So this one, as you can see, is an Eskimo from McGraw Edison. Very cool. It's in pretty good shape, too. Picked it up for $7. Not a bad deal at all. I had it plugged in, working here just a minute ago. So here's the plug, of course non-polarized, and it was obviously painted somewhere at some point in its life, so we'll plug it in here and move the fan a little closer. It does have a little oscillator here on the bottom. If you tighten it up nice and tight, it does work, so here we go. One speed. So nothing too fancy in that department. But it does blow a nice amount of air. No complaints there. I'm sure it could use a little bit of oil. I'll definitely look into that. Gotta love these vintage fans. The base is all cast iron or something like that. It's incredibly heavy. And of course our motor housing here is all metal. Everything's metal here. There's no plastic. We're not in the world of that junk. Turn it off, and it's definitely got a decent spin down. It doesn't come to a screeching halt, you know, really quick. Obviously it does stop, you know, abruptly, kind of like that. But, you know, if it was worse, it would just... So it definitely doesn't have that problem. Does have some dust on it, but it's not too bad. So I wonder if it was used up until recently, and maybe somebody was helping somebody move out. I don't know. But here's the bottom. We got some type of stamp there. It says 1, and a little hook thing so you could hang it on the wall if you really wanted. But this thing's incredibly heavy, so you need a very heavy duty nail or hook or something to hang it up. Either way, nice little find. After the endeavors that we just tried, getting this to, well, be more usable with the M1 Mac Mini, and then of course the program that we need to actually, well, it doesn't work. So the program that they use with this 3DS thing only goes up to 10.15. Well, I know that you can patch the Mac Pro 2012 to boot 10.15. I think it's Catalina or something. And I think Catalina is still up to date for Firefox and Chrome and a bunch of other applications, believe it or not. There must be a requirement within that system. I want to say maybe Metal or something that is needed. But if Metal was needed, then it should have been allowed to upgrade further than 10.15 or 10.14, excuse me. Without the upgraded GPU in the 2012 Mac Pro, it only goes up to 10.13 High Sierra. Now, with the Metal-enabled GPU inside, it does go up to 10.14 Mojave natively, and that's what it's running right now. But we're going to try patching it. Apparently it goes just fine, and I picked up another SSD here, exact same one that is inside the machine, so if this goes well, we'll be able to just swap out the 10.14 drive, save it in case anything goes, you know, whatever, and we'll go from there. So my first goal is to hopefully clone that drive onto here and then maybe upgrade it, but I don't know how that works, meaning that I'm not sure if you can or if you have to do a fresh install every time. I totally forgot to film anything, putting the drive in, cloning it, upgrading the OS, any of that. I think some things came up, some distractions in the room, and I didn't feel like filming and having distractions in the background. So here we are, editing day of this video, and I wanted to just make a little update here to cap it off. So it all went perfectly fine. I ended up putting the drive into one of the sleds inside of the machine, cloning it from the main one, 10.14, over to the other SSD, both exactly the same. I was able to do that with the built-in backup portion of the regular hard drive, or whatever's built in on the machine. It worked really well. Got it booted up into recovery mode, made a mirror copy of that drive onto the other one, took out the original. I saved it in one of the drawers here, so we can always go back. And then I went ahead and patched macOS Catalina 10.15 and got that installed. Now, that patcher software and update and all that stuff is so easy to follow. It is great. Now, you are supposed to, or recommended to anyway, put it on a thumb drive and then install it, but I did it all on the machine. I was just like, why not? You know, if something goes wrong, it's not a loss. You know, I can always just reinstall it the right way. But I did it all on machine, and it went perfectly fine. So here we are with macOS Catalina running on the mid-2012 Mac Pro. Wonderful. I'm super happy about it. The only downside about it is that in Catalina, a lot of different I don't know, code structures or whatever you want to call it, I can't really think of the right thing, but were dropped. So certain applications that are older, like Photoshop suites, like CS5 and things like that I've had on here for a long time, it just doesn't work anymore. And a lot of other legacy Apple applications like Aperture and other things like that, it just does not work. They just have the, you know, do not use symbol over top of them. So it got rid of a lot of applications, you know, that used to be usable. Like half of them that I had on here, you can't use anymore. It did carry them over naturally because I just cloned it and updated it, but I just deleted them because if I ever want them back, I can just put the original 10.14 drive in there and we're off to the races. We're good to go. But for now, anyway, we got Catalina on here, and that's perfect because Firefox is totally up to date. As of today, as far as I know, it is still up to date. I don't know how much longer it'll receive updates for this. Chrome just dropped it here in the new year, I think, or in January or something. So that's pretty recent too. Obviously it was dropped, whatever. Hey, it's a lot more updated than Mojave was. And most importantly, this application here, this 3DS Power Saves thing, this is the newest macOS that it can run on, 10.15, and an Intel machine. It's a perfect pairing. My friends will be happy to be able to be using that and some of the other applications they wanted to on here. Thankfully, that all works. Unfortunately, it didn't on the Mac Mini, but you never know. Maybe someday they'll update it. I highly doubt it, and we'll be using that in the future anyway. So we got the Mac Mini set up for any future use, but it'll probably get illuminated off the setup for right now because this machine continues on with Catalina. Very happy with this upgrade.
I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Leave a like down below and a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. Of course, check out the other videos here on the screen. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.